and 90% population is urban also. So economic data very high growth, and last quarter 7.6% in economic growth, and also 17 largest economy in the world and 60th largest economy in the EU, 15 largest importer in the world and 20 largest exporter in the world, 15 in the world for most attractive countries and in OECD. So, you know, and Turkey location, and I said before, and rich country. You know, in location, in geographic location, and 3 or 4 hours fly to many countries, also developed and underdeveloped countries. So connected, there are many places and connected. Also multinational, there are many multinational firms, for example, Coca-Cola, Microsoft, Intel, Pfizer. There are many multinational firms and operational center in Turkey. So Coca-Cola, for example, also. First import and export zone, especially Europe region first, and 7 supplier and 5 customer in the EU. So this is the buying from EU and sell to other countries. Buying and West countries, East countries, and sell to West countries also. So this is the location, very important. So, for example, and in Turkish economy, if can be established a SWOT analysis, and there are many strengths and opportunities, things, and then also each economy has weakness and threats also. And strength, qualified and affordable labor, very well trained engineers who are more affordable than in Europe, ability to adapt to demand and reactivity of the Turkish companies, geographical location link between Europe to Asia, re-export platform, a geographical proximity to Europe and Asia, quality of manufactured product, and compliance with European standard. So in Turkey, and produce and as like a European standard. Customs agreements with the EU since 1996. Also, 20% of the population has European purchasing power, and so part of the Europe in Turkey. Young and urban population, flexibility of sector and country, high performance partnership on auto, aero, agro, etc. And weakness part, important underground market and legislative gaps in counterfeiting and soaring competition from China, too long payment terms. And for a good reason to choose Turkey, and first, an economic success despite the economic and political crisis, and second one, a large, young and innovative population, construction and large market. Third, a qualified and competitive workforce in terms of cost. Four, a liberal and reformist investment climate, offering equal right to foreign investor. Five, recent and developing infrastructure. And six, a central geographical location on the east-west and north-south axis, constituting an industrial and commercial hub. 7. A strategic energy corridor and terminal for Europe. 8. Trade facilitated through the custom union with the EU since 1996. 9. Reduce taxes and incentive for investors. And 10. A large domestic market with growing sectors and significant needs. So, which one growing sector? And then first one, automotive. And 17 largest producer in the world, first in Europe. 9. Research and development center support not only local operation but also operation in other plants of the parent companies. For example, Ford Otosan Research and Development Department is one of the 3 largest centers in the world, and one of them in Turkey also. Bursa Research and Development Center is the only Fiat center outside of Italy, serving the European market. And Ford Courier, new light commercial vehicle, and the Yeniköy plant is the only production center in the world. Toyota hybrid, and Daimler, Mercedes-Benz, and also with more than 40,000 employees, automotive equipment manufacturers are one of the largest employers in the manufacturing sector. Also, and new investment electric car and in Turkey trademark Ford. And plastic and packaging industry also highest sector, and 7th largest producer in the world, 2nd largest in Europe. More than 9 million tons of production in 270. Growth of more than 10% over the last 10 years. Day by day growing. Annual production of 4.9 million tons. More than 5,000 companies. 77% of these companies are plastic producers. More than 100 companies with foreign capital, and progressive adoption of European standard also. And day by day, growing sector. Turkey ranks 3rd in Europe in terms of production capacity of Germany and Italy also. And growth of more than 10. And textile and ready-to-wear, 2nd biggest export sector of Turkey, and so comparison, and also China's and Chinese and Turkey and race. Sometimes and China is, sometimes in Turkey, and growing and producer and textile and ready-to-wear, and 5th largest producer in the world, and GDP very important, 1 in 4 of GDP, and 16% of total industrial production, more than 35,000 manufacturers. 2nd supplier to Europe after China, and also Europe supplier. Strength and opportunities, there are many trademarks, there are many international firms, and also these international firms, and then supplier manufacturer in Turkey also. And information and technology, in the first half of 2022, export of $6.8 billion were realized from electric and electronic sector. and also this electric and electronic sector. There are many product supplier to Europe. Also very strong and business sector in agri-food and biology sector also. Turkey is one of the 8 countries in the world to be self-sufficient. Very important. Number 1 producer in the Middle East region and among the world's leading agricultural producer. About 20% of the total Turkish GDP is dedicated to this sector. Sorry. Largest producer of the pasta, tomato, 60 largest tea producer in the world. Need for adapted equipment and machines related to transformation of raw products, packaging also. And very important agri-food industry region and Konya, Manisa, Balıkesir, Bursa, Tekirdağ and Adana also in Turkey, and also my city and very important location. Main supplier Italy, Poland, United States and Germany also, and Konya's trademark and Turku. Electric, electronic equipment and household appliance, and first Europe television manufacturer and second largest household appliance manufacturer in nowadays. Also pharmaceuticals and health, maybe you know, 60 place among global pharmaceutical and manufacturer and 60 in the Europe market after Germany, France and United Kingdom, Italy or Spain. And 300 companies included 263 local companies and 37 multinational. In Turkey also evaluate and COVID vaccine also, you know, and so important location, pharmaceutical and also health and transport also, and there are many high-speed train and local and international location, and the transfer to Europe to East. Also there are many producer and goes to Europe. Also construction, important sector, very interesting and important sector, and very dynamic sector also. In Istanbul airport, you know, very important transportation center. Energy and natural resources, also Turkey an energy corridor, west, east to west. Environment or recycling, very new sector. Recycling very important in Turkey. Also collecting plastic materials and recycling, and then new product. Maritime location is important, and also tourism and hotel also very important, and in Europe after Spain. Also the other things, Turkish business world, very important, because your subject is very technical research, and then some of the invest some materials, and then how can we produce, how can we getting more economical economical things and in right address in Turkey also. Sorry. And there are about 1,000 holding companies, large group in Turkey. One holding company out of 4 is located in Anatolia. In Turkey, one of the Anatolia, for example, in Konya, Torku, for example. And also benefit and disadvantage risk also. This some of maybe not more interest some people, and if people interest, and I can share this EPT, no problem for me. Also benefit and advantage and risk also. So advice and keys to entering the Turkish market, economical crisis and earthquake, traffic jams, especially big cities, charges in law, regulation, or right, very interesting things, very problem in Turkey also. Turkish working method and understand different roles of father and son in family-run companies. In Turkey, it's like Pakistan, I think so. Give specific instructions, specify the purpose of each meeting, and propose a detailed agenda. Ask participants to prepare themselves, take the time to discuss football and family issues, create a friendly relationship and have dinner together, check that the necessary documents are present, and answer them fairly quickly, because Turks often work in a hurry, often waiting and until the last minute to do a task. Provide prompt technical support as required, and allow time to implement the decision made. Don't forget to restart them. Monitoring is very important. As a result, in my faculty picture also, Turkey has succeeded in turning into economic outputs by using its geographical advantage. Besides being among the 20 developed economies, it is the main product supplier of many developed countries. In addition, it ranks first in the world in the production of intermediate products. Agriculture production and its transformation into an industrial area have been ensured. Thus, the fluctuation in agricultural production were reduced and the welfare level of the farmers was increased. The agricultural sector has now become a winner. Is there any question, or do you have idea and project, and you can call me and I can answer and I can help to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Mr. Direk. He is very nice, cooperative person as well as a very nice researcher. So many of our students, they are interested to be in contact with you. So we will provide you your details. So the hall is open for questions. So if any participant have question, please you can ask from Professor Mr. Direk. Any question? Any question from participant? Okay, thank you very much, Professor Mittal. Now we are moving towards our next speaker. The next speaker is, I think Pat has some question.
Yes, I just would, superb talk and lovely to see where Turkey is in so many different aspects. What about research and education? Where do you see the university sector going in Turkey, both nationally and in collaborations? And what about research and research collaborations?
Yeah. So education is a little bit problem in Turkey. So not more people and know international language English, and so it is a very hard communication each other. So Turkey peoples know Turkish very well, but not more know the other language a little bit lazy. I'm so sorry.
Not as lazy as us.
It is a realized, real things, you know. So, business people, and there are many research and development people and know English very well. Also connect in some of the other countries, and also especially part of the Europe.
Yes.
So, for example,
what about the IP and patent situation for developing new intellectual products?
Yeah. My university, for example, and biggest university, and as like three 3,000 people and work, and as like a academic person,
Yeah.
and biggest university, and then my university more than 70,000 students also, and so big, and but not more contact the other small groups. There are many small groups contact to the other university, the other person, and also themselves. So education is a problem, but more university, for example, Boğaziçi, Middle East, Istanbul Technical University, and connect to the other university or research center.
Great. Well, thanks very much. And obviously, I think tertiary education is really critical to the next stages of advancing all of the wonderful things you were talking about.
Also, new materials, new kits, for example, and evaluate a new one, and can be produced in Turkey very easily, because and law, and also business people, and open, and so business people and find them and new clues, and then produce and then deliver to all of the world. So very attractive also.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Professor Mete Derek. Our next speaker is Professor Dr. Mohammad Awais Umar. He is from University of Veterinary and Animal Sciences, UVAS, Lahore. Professor Dr. Awais is currently serving the Department of Pharmacology and Toxicology, UVAS, as chairman of the department. In postgraduate degrees, he has earned MPhil and PhD in Pharmacology and Toxicology from University of Veterinary and Animal Sciences, Lahore, Pakistan. He has over 24 years of teaching, research, and administrative experience. He published more than 30 research articles in international and national scientific journals. He is effectively providing his technical service as supervisor and member of a large number of MPhil and PhD scholars. His research interests are pharmacology, toxicology, angiogenesis, and ethnomedicine. So over to Professor Dr. Awais Umar. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much, Dr. Faisal, for inviting me to come here. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Can you see my presentation as well, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Professor Dr. West, if you bring it on slide mode, please.
Acha ji.
Presentation. Bring presentation. Slide.
Okay, sir. Is it okay, sir?
Yes, fine.
Is it okay? Hello?
Yeah, it's fine. Full screen. Please come. Full screen, please.
Full
screen, please.
Can you see full screen of my slides?
Yeah, it's okay now. Go ahead.
Sir, can you see my slide?
Yes.
We can only see the presenter view. We can't see the full screen.
If I make it full, then it is not visible for the people, I assume.
I think yes.
Again, like this. I have made it in a full screen view. Can you see this?
Shift plus F8. Okay, Doctor sir.
I think we should continue like this because I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Is it visible, please?
Yes.
Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes.
It's visible for us.
Yes. You can proceed.
Okay, thank you. So thank you very much, KS Global Research, for giving us this opportunity to come here in the third international conference on emerging research for sustainable economic development in Baku, Azerbaijan. It is really a very, a useful platform with a theme of emerging research, a catalyst to sustainable economic development, and having different conference covers like biological sciences, chemical and physical sciences, computational sciences and engineering, business, social sciences, and multidisciplinary at last but not the least. So here are some highlights of Pakistan Economic Survey. Is it going well, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So highlights of Pakistan Economic Survey in the year 21-22. Actually in Pakistan, the government's fiscal year is 1st July of the previous calendar year and concludes on the 30th of June in the next year. So the real GDP posted a growth of 5.97% in the fiscal year 2022. Still, economy is facing underlying macroeconomic imbalances and associated domestic and international risks. Actually, the economy of Pakistan rebounded from the pandemic and continued to post a V-shaped economic recovery, which is higher than 5.74% recorded in the last year. Actually, the main purpose to show this economic survey of Pakistan is for the economical, sustainable economy and our role of research in this. So there are different, due to depleting foreign exchange reserves, pressure on exchange rate is intensified, and there are different, investment to GDP ratio remained 15.1% compared to 14.6% recorded in the last year. It has been observed over the long time period that the contribution of net exports is in aggregate demand usually remained negative except in 2020, mainly due to the massive decline in imports on account of the pandemic. So we were facing, at that time, we were facing a lot of difficulty in getting some research material for our research work and other, research related activities. So Pakistan is an agriculture country, as most of my colleagues over here, they know, and the agriculture sector, it posted growth of about 4.4%, mainly due to 6.6% growth in crops and 3.3% growth in livestock. And the our main crops, they are the cotton and the rice and others. So Pakistan's economy faces several severe challenges. Inflation is running high. The prospects for future growth in potential output are uncertain. Financing fiscal deficit is becoming challenging. Further, high trade deficit is leading to external imbalances, putting extra pressure on foreign reserves and on the exchange rate. So appropriate actions the government, they are also taking nowadays, and growth indicators, they are showing the GDP growth is about 5.97% and agriculture growth is 4.4%. Actually, I'm engaged with agriculture. Our university is a university on veterinary sciences. So our veterinary sciences, this profession, it comes under agriculture in Pakistan like other countries. So if we and surpass the target of 3.5% by the grace of our Lord. Cotton production increased, and rice crop, sugar cane, maize crop, wheat production, they were also increased after pandemic in the last 3 or 4 years. Other crops, they are also increased. As far as the livestock sector is concerned, livestock having share of 61.89%. In this way, you will be well imagining the importance of livestock in our Pakistan economy. Like this, during the 2021, about 778.2 thousand tons of improved seeds of various, crops, they were available, and domestic production of fertilizers were there. Trade and payments. If the trade and payments are concerned, during July to April in 2022, the export grew, stood at $59.8 billion in 2022. Actually, our main aim is to reduce this type of import by doing research on natural resources, like doing research on plant-based medicines, because the plants, they are showing active ingredients and they are having very good biological activities as far as their effect on the living system is concerned. The broad-based surge in global commodity prices, COVID-19 vaccine imports, and demand side pressure all contributed to the rising imports actually. So trade deficit increased by 49.6% in the last year, 22. Now there are different climatic changes, and the government is well aware of how to meet those challenges. 10 billion tree tsunami program that has been launched, and the trees, they were planted for 579.093 million plants during July to March 2022, and cumulatively has attained level of 1,586 million plants till March 2022. And effort of different ministries, agencies to promote apiculture in the country. According to the National Forest Reference Emissions Level finding, the country is maintaining 4.786 million hectare area under forest cover. Although it is not too much as compared to other environment globally forest-friendly countries, but we are contributing this in this sector as well. So sustainable growth of the agriculture sector stands vital for food security and rural development in any country. It is a major contributor to the employment and foreign exchange earnings. In addition to that, it provides industrial raw material, hence growth in this sector has multiple linkages with overall economy of the country. It contributes about 22.7% to the GDP and provides employment to a mass level and to different communities. The improvement in agriculture production systems will increase farm income, reduce consumer prices, and other things. So we are actually agriculture performance during 2021. They are, as I have already told you, that the different crops, they are increased by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our country. So there is still more work to do for the increase of exports instead of increasing the imports of different goods. The growth in production of important crops, namely cotton, rice, sugarcane, and maize, they are estimated and they showed good increase. Livestock having share of 61, as I have already told you, and I think that Dr. Faisal is also requesting me to be in short in my presentation. So these are some, some points, some data that shows that in 2021 and 22, 4.4% agriculture growth was seen. It includes all the crops and the cotton, beginning, and the livestock, forestry, fishing, etc. As far as the livestock is concerned, it is contributing approximately 61.9% of agriculture value added and 14% to the national GDP, as I told you already. And this was attained by more, veterinary providing of more veterinary health services and the other things. So the regulatory measures are aimed at enhancing per unit animal productivity by improving veterinary health coverage, husbandry practices, animal breeding practices, artificial insemination services, use of balanced ration for animal breeding, and controlling livestock diseases by providing good medical facility. So different diseases they were shown, and there was a chance there was a challenge to increase the vaccination campaign in the animals and to reduce the chances of different infective diseases. Estimated livestock population is about, in 2021-22, it was 53.1 million cattle and buffalo. They were about 43.7, sheep, goat, camels, and you can see their number in this slide. So milk production is there, meat production is there, that is also going to be increased. Milk is going to be increased in the last year, 65,745, and in the cow and buffalo, it is written separately over here. So the main and the poultry sector is one of the most important segments of livestock that provides employment to more than 1.5 million people in our country. With an investment of more than 750 billion, this industry is growing at an impressive growth rate of approximately 7.5%. Although we are also exporting the meat of the poultry and the beef and the mutton to different Middle East countries and other countries. So we are actually, as academicians, we are engaged with the such research topics which are actually going to increase the foreign reserves and which are going to increase our export trade. So we are exploring our flora and fauna in our research, and there is a case history of two examples only. One is we have seen the effect of protective effect of potato peel extracts against lead-induced hepatorenal toxicity in mice, and other is sugarcane. I will explain later. So the objective of this research was to evaluate the biochemical and histopathological changes due to the lead toxicity, because lead toxicity that was too much common in our country. To evaluate and the second one is to evaluate the protective effect of potato peel extracts against lead-induced hepatorenal toxicity. Hepatorenal means the toxicity associated with the liver and the kidneys, and the model was our mice. Environmental exposure to low levels of lead has been associated with a wide range of metabolic and cellular deficits. Autopsy studies, they also confirmed it. and we can get these, lead from different sources like fertilizers, pesticides, exhaust from automobiles, factory chimneys, and from the soil waste, smelting of ores, or the good sources, the batteries which are being used for electricity purpose. Plant description is, this is our potato plant that is mostly commonly available in every country, that was confirmed from the botanist, and it is a research. It is this research is conducted by different people who are the botanists, pharmacologists, and the toxicologists as well. Different mice they were taken, and conventionally these potato peel extract they were prepared. Group 1, the animals of group 1, they were given normal saline only intraperitoneally. Group 2, normal saline and the lead acetate at the rate of 40 milligram per kg intraperitoneally, and the group 3 silmarine, this is a drug, and plus lead acetate. And in group 4, potato peel extract 100 milligram per kg plus normal saline, and group 5 methanolic extract with normal saline, and group 6 potato peel extract and lead acetate and methanolic extract. So the results, we have done different sample experiments on those animals, and the blood they were taken and the tissue samples they were taken, and they were all done due to the, in accordance with the ethical committee of our university on handling of the animals guidelines. So biochemical tests were done on the liver function test and on the renal function test, and Redox serum status that was conducted to find out the antioxidant activities, and histopathological examinations of livers and kidneys they were also done. Different statistical models they were done, and if I conclude it, these are the results which are shown. These are the slides in which different histopathological parameters you can see on the liver, that cell damage that can be. This is a normal slide of the liver cells, and then the different slides they are taken from. This is the inflamed part of the hepatocytes and the photoveins, and the normalization of these cells due to the use of methanolic and the ethanolic extract. These are different slides, and our conclusion is potato peel extracts, either aqueous or methanolic, they showed significant protective effect against hepatorenal toxicity induced by lead in vivo. So we have induced the lead toxicity in different animal models, and we have given different drugs and different plant extracts, potato peel extract in methanolic extract in the form of aqueous extract, and we know that in plants there are different chemical constituents which show different biological activities, and aqueous extracts they are having different chemical constituents, methanolic extracts they are having different chemical constituents. So we have found out that either these chemical constituents they are having some significant effect in treating the lead toxicity. So methanolic extract of potato peel shows significant protective effect on kidneys as compared to the standard drug in this case. So our recommendations are from this research project, it is recommended that further projects should be designed to screen out the active constituents of potato peel extracts in experimental trials in different animal models and lines to evaluate a patent formulation against heavy metal toxicity. So I would request my friend from Poland that we can coordinate on this topic, and we can find out different chemical constituents which are showing these biological activities. So these are actually the fruits of these conferences, which comes in the form of collaboration. So very quickly, the other study that was done on the same parameters, but that was done on the sugar cane extract. And the sugar cane is very much common in our country, and the juice is taken up in this summer weather very commonly, and that is extracted through this. And we have used the sugar cane, actually the sugar cane pure juice in this study. So the experiment was done like previously done, and the biochemical indices that they were done on liver function test and renal function test. Histopathology was done, antioxidant activities were also calculated. So if we go quickly on the slides, we also have seen the slides like the same pattern which I already showed you, that some hepatocytes and renal cells, they are shown in normal animals, and in the animals treated with juice of this sugar cane. So this plant juice effectively neutralized the kidney and liver damage at dose rate of 15 milligram per kg per day and 25 milligram. So it has been observed when we give this sugar cane juice to different animals which are pre-exposed to lead toxicity, then the damage of the kidney cells and the liver cells, that was cured actually. So that was dose dependent, like 15 milligram have shown less result as compared to the 25 milligram per kg per day juice when it is given to the animals. When compared to the standard drug Silmarine, cane sugar juice showed significant protective effect against hepatorenal toxicity. Our recommendation here in this case is the same. From this research, it is recommended that this particular plant juice should be screened out for its active ingredients to explore protective effects on the liver, kidney, and oxidative stress due to the heavy metals toxicity for further research. So again, I am open to everybody. My department is open to everybody. Hazara University, Mansehra, Baku University, any university in Baku, from a professor from UK, they can also contact us, so we can have a collaborative research in this case. So my email address is here, and my designation is this one, and I really appreciate the efforts of the organizing committee in organizing this very important event. So thank you so much, Dr. Faisal, for inviting me over here. Hopefully I have conveyed something, and I have the concern that we should be having collaborative efforts in this case in order to get the good economic policies here in Pakistan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Wes Umar. It was very nice, informative time, and especially for your time management. So the hall is open for questions. So audience, if you have any question, you can ask from Professor Umar.
Asking questions to the audience.
Yes, sir. I'm audible to you. Hello? I'm audible to you, sir.
कंप्यूटर से आ गया सर क्वेश्चन
Rather very informative and good presentation, and so clearly, so understandable presentation, and clear gives us understand you very well.
My aim is always to have a sort of cooperation and collaboration with other professors from other countries who are having different, technologies, different resources, so that we collaborate with each other. Yes. You have to university and to visit you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm audible to you, sir.
Yes, you are audible to me, and also visible to you.
Okay, sir. Sir, like you have discussed earlier that most of our GDP is dependent and most of our economy of Pakistan is dependent upon the agriculture and the livestock. So, the knowledge that we have is all the knowledge that is having for the botanists, for the agriculturalists. So the actual persons which are performing something, the farmers, the laborers who are performing in the playground, who are performing in the field, they are unaware of these things. So don't you think so that we should aware them first, and these peoples are the peoples which are actually working something, and they are unaware of these things, like they are unaware of the diseases of the plants, they are unaware of the diseases of the animals. Only the veterinarians or the botanists or the agriculturalists, that are not involved actually in the playground. Huzefa.
Huzaifa,
Ji sir.
Huzaifa, it is very important question actually. So the outcome of our research, it must go to the stakeholders, to the common people. If we are inventing any medicine, that medicine should go over there. Actually, whenever we do any research, if we find any chemical having good biological activity, we do a lot of research having different, aspects covered. Then what we do, we file for a patent. We have filed for the patents. I have, alhamdulillah, got a patent for a drug which is plant-based and that is used on the diabetic wound. So we are actually advertising that, drug. So it is the outcome. Whenever you are finding any chemical or any drug and it is safe and it is having good biological activity, it should be filed for patent rights and for patent that can be manufactured on a large scale and that will go towards the common people.
Sir, what do you think that what should we do, or what should our government do? What steps should we take to aware those peoples? Like, I would like to know about you.
Josefa, let me tell you, long ago, there was a drug that was diclofenac sodium that was being used by the veterinarians to reduce the pain and the inflammation and the fever in the animals. So it has been observed by WHO that this drug, it showed the decline in vulture population. Do you know vultures? तो कितने होती हैं? The population that was declining. So we did research on that. Thoroughly research was done, and we see that the animals which are given diclofenac sodium, unfortunately they die, and we throw them in the fields, and the vultures, they come and they feed them. Then the residues of those diclofenac sodium, they go inside the body of the vultures and they become toxic for them and the vulture population that is disturbed. So in this way, the ecosystem that is disturbed here in Pakistan. So we made recommendations, and we represented it in the assembly, and the government of Pakistan had banned the use of diclofenac sodium in the animals.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Awais. Dr. Ishtaq Ali, Dr. Ebrar, they are waiting in Baku for their talk. So the next speaker is Professor Dr. Ishtaq Ali. Professor Dr. Ishtaq Ali is from Department of Microbiology, Qaid-e-Azam University, Islamabad, Pakistan. He received his PhD from Qaid-e-Azam University, Islamabad, Pakistan, and postdoctoral experience from University of New South Wales, Sydney, Australia. His research interests are applied and environmental microbiology, microbial conversion of waste into energy, and molecular microbiology. He is currently in Baku, Azerbaijan, and he will deliver his talk from Baku. So his topic is highlights of his topic is biodegradation of plastics and eco-friendly waste management approach. So next to Professor Dr. Ishtaq Ali. Dr. Ishtaq, are you available? Yes.
Assalamu alaikum ji, Dr. Faisal Naroz, I'm audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum, dear audience. First of all, I'd like to extend my gratitude to all the organizers, K Global, Hazara University, and all the other organizers for organizing such an important conference on a very relevant topic actually. Luckily, though the conference was supposed to be organized physically at Baku, Azerbaijan, but we came here for another conference in Baku. Professor Mehmet also joined us in that conference. So we stayed here for 2 more days due to our flight cancellation. So thank you, Professor Naroz Faisal, for providing this opportunity. So we got a chance to present on this. Dear audience, myself, as introduced by Professor Faisal, myself is Muhammad Ishtaq Ali. I'm a professor of microbiology at Qaid-e-Azam University, and additionally I'm also working as a director of academics of Qaid-e-Azam University. Before starting my presentation, University, country top ranked university is located in Islamabad. Faisal, can you just move the slide, please? If somebody is controlling the slide. Faisal,
Yes.
you want me to share upload the slides? Because
Actually,
I can't. Yeah. Okay.
it is slow,
So,
a little bit slow. When you ask next, it will take some time.
Founded in 1967 with the mandate of research degrees actually, and later on we started a undergraduate program. Currently, we are offering different degree programs for undergraduate and postgraduate. Can you go to the next slide, please? We are offering four main faculties: Faculty of Social Sciences, Faculty of Natural Sciences, Faculty of Biological Sciences, and then Faculty of Medicine. That is our affiliation faculty. The thing that made Qazi University more in limelight is about ranking. The research scenario, research culture at Qazi University. Can you go to the next slide? The research scenario, research culture at Qazi University is very much prominent in Pakistan. That's why we are always highlighted in the international national rankings. And recent ranking, you can see in this slide, Qazi University globally ranked at 363rd position by QS ranking, and in Asia, we are 93rd position. In addition to that, in subject ranking, you can see the subject, particularly in biological sciences and natural sciences, they are mostly ranked between 150 to 300, 150 to 200 ranks. So that make it a more compatible place. So now coming back to my topic, I chosen this topic because we are living in a world where you see we are after the realization of such technology and such things which are cost effective. And everyone is a form of shopping. Everyone go to shopping. Everyone like to buy a few things, items from the market or grocery or any other things. So plastics is very very renowned polymer. It is widely used globally for mostly for, and then for many other purposes. We can classify plastics on the basis of a structure, that they are hard plastic, they are flexible plastic. Most frequent and common plastics, these polystyrene bags, polyurethane, polystyrene, and then we use insulation cables, pipes. That make it more, good in application, because it is so widely used in application. If you see the students sitting in the hall, your mobile casing is of plastic. You are using the jackets, your tie, your shirt buttons are made of plastic. Your shoes are made of plastic. Your laptop casing is made of plastic. Your car, your whole furniture. So if you just look around, things you are using and utilizing in your daily life, every second or third thing is made of plastic, because they are very cheap, they are widely available, it's easy to mend, easy to handle. But this is the one aspect, that is a friendly approach of the plastic. But once they are improperly disposed of, once they are not properly disposed of, once they are not properly dumped, then they start becoming a threat. Because a country, developing country particularly, where the waste management is still, health, availability of food and resources is a challenge. So in particularly considering the scenario of a developing country, the waste management is still, is a milestone to be achieved, because we're still throwing all garbage into a common place, regardless of its characterization or its separation. So if we look around to any disposal, the major proportion of that waste would be of plastics. So why we feel that plastic could be a threat to the environment? At one stage, we are saying plastics are widely usable due to its multiple application. There are many reasons, because plastics, once they are thrown into the aquatic environment, if it's a stream, if it's a river, if it's a sea, they affect even the fishes or any aquatic life. Once they ingulf that plastics, that affect their normal functioning. Particularly if you throw plastic improperly into the waste stream lines, sewage lines, or freshwater stream bodies, they will not only pollute it but also affect the normal flow of that waste stream that is going through those nalas or those, particular waste stream lines actually. In addition to that, in agriculture, plastics basically it hurdles the percolation of the water and the fertility down. So meaning thereby there are a lot of associated risks which are linked with the disposal. But there is one another aspect of plastic mismanagement, that is uncontrolled burning. Because we know the incineration, if we do controlled incineration, that is a way we can generate resource, we can generate steam. That would be a useful resource. We can use those steam to generate electricity. But particularly developing country, if I talk about Pakistan's background scenario, what we do, what sort of installation we do is open burning. So burning, uncontrolled burning of plastic that leads to the release of certain unwanted gas, only carbon dioxide. It contains also dioxins, many other unwanted, potentially carcinogenic compounds, so which are reportedly known to affect not only the ecosystem, not only to the aquatic life, but they are causing cancer to the human beings. It plastic uncontrolled burning aesthetically, nobody is going to like it. You going through a trash of plastic garbage dump, and if you burn it, there are a lot of gases are being released. Nobody going to like it. But in addition to aesthetic sense, the inhale, if you absorb and inhale those gases, they will definitely affect your nervous system, reproductive system, your GI tract. So if we say whether plastics are friends or foe, yes, they are friends considering its replicate multiple applications, they are cheap in cost, but their uncontrolled mismanagement, their not proper disposal or waste collection system, that leads to the disaster. Then they become threat to the environment, then they become threat to the living lives, either they are human beings, animals, or the plants. So our research group is working on the plastic degradation strategy since last decade actually. We started working on plastic. We try to research our target was which have a potential that they can degrade plastic material. So we succeeded at some extent. We identified number of genera of bacterial strains and particularly fungal strains. Among fungus, the most prominent were the Aspergillus niger, Fusarium, white rot, the Pseudomycetes family. They are very much renowned for their generation or their activity of remediation. So we plan this activity by considering this is the diagrammatic representation of our whole approach, the mechanism of the plastic. We propose that if we culture, if we incubate microorganisms in such an environment where we only provide them our plastic as a carbon source, definitely they will, after the survival of their, for carbon source. So if activated or facilitated process in natural settings, because in natural settings there are a lot of readily available carbon sources are available. So those organisms, they least rely on this recalcitrant or plastic material. They use many other readily available carbon sources. So this plastic remediation degradation mechanism, it is basically two-way step. It is depolymerization. Initial step is there by the release of certain fungal and bacterial enzymes. Those non-polymer chains are being broken down into smaller chains, dimers and monomers. And finally, the mineralization by release of certain, enzymes again. Enzymes play a very key role, fundamental role in this whole process of depolymerization and mineralization. They convert that into the end products. Those are ultimately carbon dioxide, and these can be a primary metabolite that is being generated due to the depolymerization and mineralization process. So as I mentioned, we identified a number of bacterial and fungal strain. Pseudomonas bacillus was among of them. My group target was to look after what type of enzyme system, what is the metabolic activity, what is the biochemistry going on this, how
and why and how to enhance the process of these remediation strategies. So we propose that, if we can enhance, we can scale up the production of those particular enzymes. Those are basically released by these bacteria and fungi during the course of degradation. So that would increase, that would enhance, that would basically, increase our chances to convert waste, eco-friendly transformation of plastic into a resource. So we basically worked on different sets of enzyme, oxidoreductase enzyme, lignin peroxidase enzyme, manganese peroxidase enzyme. So this enzyme basically they convert that plastic material into its less toxic form, and ultimately they make it a useful, eco-friendly convert. So there are different analytical techniques. Once we plan execute a plastic degradation experiment in the lab scale level, the first stage is as I mentioned, uh, culturing plastic in an environment with the organism where there is no other carbon source. If microorganisms are showing their growth, if their OD is increasing in case of bacteria, or if their biomass in case of fungi, that is increasing, that strengthens our hypothesis that their growth indicates they are surviving in that stress environment where there is no other carbon source than are provided, plastic. So weight loss, biomass quantification, we do by strong test in case of fungi, and we do spectroscopic analysis, OD analysis to determine that either in our different treatment settings, having those minimal salt media with plastic and having no carbon source and that particular indigenously isolated organism, either they are growing or not. And you can see, starting from in different weeks, you can see there is an increase in the biomass. At time, it is, one more thing I like to mention in this case, but till now, though we have optimized the conditions for the enzymatic degradation, but still this need a lot of work to be done, because there are many associated challenges, because applying those microflora like we are doing eye-little bugs, it is challenging, because enzyme activity is compromised if temperatures got increased, if pH slightly get increased, or many other environmental factors. So we are trying to optimize. My group is still working in collaboration with many international organizations. We are working on that to optimize such a way so where we can convert plastic into less toxic form. These are after the spectroscopic analysis. FTR is another analytical technique which basically assert our hypothesis that if there is any change occurs, if we propose that plastic degradation leads to depolymerization. If there is a depolymerization, meaning that by polymer is broken down, new functional groups probably, they be originated or converted. So we do FTR analysis for this, we do gas chromatography for this, we do many other analytical techniques for this to determine that either our experiment are plastically degraded or not. So likewise, uh, we successfully managed, we successfully conducted a series of experiments, and we generated a very useful data that is published in different, highly cited research articles. You can see we publish in Journal of Basic Microbiology. You can go to the next slide, please. We published, till time we have managed to publish around 10 to 15 related articles to the plastic degradation, particularly focusing on enzyme related degradation. So what I can conclude, on basis of my research group activity, that microorganisms have a potential. Yes, they do have a lot of potential, that they generate, they release number set of enzymes. That enzymes have a potential that they can convert waste into toxic form, particularly polystyrene, polyethylene, and polyvinyl chloride plastics, which are persist in the environment for the longer period of time. So we managed to optimize condition for those enzymes. We tried at a pilot scale level, at lab scale level, and of course we are very much up to for the field trials. But of course, again, being scientists, our task is to do research in the lab and to test it at bench level and the pilot level. So we are in collaboration with many local and international organizations for the field trial, funding and other things. So this is our little bit, you see, contribution towards making environment more eco-friendly, to reduce the impact of this global warming and to reduce the potential toxicity of climate change. So my research group, as you see in previous slide, so far in my research group, more than 12 PhD they are graduated, around 70 MPhil they graduated. We successfully completed 6 research grants and 2 grants are on the way. And we are in collaboration with many, global and national organizations, including Azerbaijan University. We are also working a few scientists from Azerbaijan University as well. And then at last, this is my research group. You can see a few pics of my research lab and research group. And that's all from Baku. Thank you very much for being patient. I try to complete it a bit hurry and early because I understand being in a scientific conference and particularly when it's in an online mode, it's very important to keep our audience alive and to consider the time limitation as well. So once again, I'm very much thankful to all the organizers, and I'm very open for any discussion, either my contact or email. You're always welcome to visit University for the Azerbaijan University students, all Pakistani students, and for international collaborators. Of course, we can infect via email or through other contact medias. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ishtaq Ali, for your nice and informative talk. Very quick question from Dr. Ishtaq Ali. The hall is open for questions, so if anyone have question, you can ask from Professor Dr. Ishtaq Ali.
Am I audible to you, sir? Hello?
Okay, audible.
Am I audible to you, sir?
Hello. Okay, there is one question from a student.
Sir, as you were discussing the biodegradation of plastics, so whenever we are studying biodegradation, so the first and the important point that we have told ever is that there isn't a single microorganism which can degrade all the pollutants, all the things that are wasted. So we are now having lots of technologies. We are having like genetic engineering. We know about DNA hybridization and lots of other techniques. So why don't we develop such a microorganism which can have the capabilities to degrade all those pollutants in a single way?
Well, thank you, Sunail, for asking a very relevant question. You see, the GMOs, are always very fascinating. Genetically modified organism seems really, a good strategy. But role of GMOs or application of GMOs in environment is globally debatable. How they are going to react in environment. That is a question why even the United States or other, there are very few studies, particularly using GMO-based application of microorganisms into the environment. Indeed, it has a potential. Yes, I agree. That's what my group is doing. We genetically modified the enzymatic regulations. We overexpress particular set of enzymes, but to scale up that to the field scale level, again there are many challenges. There are many regulatory requirements using or application of GMOs for remediation. One aspect is this. Second aspect is that you see societies are basically operates by the norms. In our society, what we do actually, we prefer to burn the waste rather than people are after using bioplastic. This is an alternative of plastic. There's a one thing that I missed during the presentation on plastic, pollution by using the alternative bioplastic. But still, how many communities or how many people learn to use plastic, just plastic. But yes, that is very much doable, and it's research level. Many scientists, including our group, they modified genetic structure to overexpress particular set of enzyme. But application into the environment, Dr. Faisal Narose is biofermentation is genetics too. He can guide you better that it's a still challenging and debatable that GMOs. Can we use GMOs in the environment? Because that is something still questionable in my perspective. But yes, that is doable. I must say.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Dr. Ishtiyaq Ali. Now we are moving towards our next speaker. Thank you very much. Next speaker is also with you in Baku. So he is Dr. Ibrar Ahmed. He is the CEO of Alpha Genomics Private Limited. Dr. Ibrar Ahmed completed his PhD from Massey University, New Zealand in February 2014. His area of expertise is genomics, molecular evolution, plant molecular biology, and next generation sequencing. After spending a little less than 3 years as assistant professor at Department of Biochemistry, Qaid-e-Azam University, Islamabad, Dr. Ahmed established his own Alpha Genomics to extend his services and expertise to fellow researchers and scientists in universities and R&D organizations. His PhD thesis can be downloaded, that is available online. So he documented his expertise through various publications in prestigious international journals. He is also available to our students as well. So his topic is next generation sequencing and role of Alpha Genomics. So I'm going to share his talk. Share next.
सुनने की बात नहीं, आप में तो करेंगे कैसे ये काम? सुबह से रात तक काम करते हो, आपको में रिजल्ट जीरो आता है, फिर बंदा घर को जब जाता है.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, Dr. Ibrar. We are going to share your talk. So,
Am I audible?
yes, you are. Okay, we have shared. So you can go ahead.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Can you hear me, Dr. Faisal?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Please go ahead.
Please go ahead.
Quickly.
Quickly.
Maybe I should share my screen so that I.
Okay, it's up to you.
Okay, I'll share my screen from here. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you very much to the organizers of this KS Global Conference and Dr. Faisal for letting me talk at this forum. I hope you can all see my screen and hear me.
Yes, you go ahead. Yeah, you can move
Yeah,
on.
you can move.
So this is me, Dr. Ibrar Ahmed. As Dr. Faisal told that I am heading the Alpha Genomics Private Limited since 2017. Before that, I was assistant professor in Department of Biochemistry, Qaid-e-Azam University. I'm going to talk something about the polyphyletic origin of Colocasia aspiranta. That was what are the Colocasia aspiranta? The common name or tree name, we call it Arbi Akachadu in our language. जिसको हम खाते हैं. This is basically an edible vegetable crop. It's polyphyletic means it has different branches, different origins as a species. So this is about my research. We are also continuing work on this topic. This is in collaboration with my previous PhD postgraduate and now former collaborator, Professor Peter Matthews in National Museum of Technology, Osaka, Japan. Rhodesia esculenta, as I told, it is also called as taro arabi. This is one of the most important food crops in Araceae aroid family, which are the monoplant families. Taro was one of the most important sources of starch before the current widespread dispersal of potato. So this is a climate resilient crop. When I say resilient, it means it can thrive in lots of different types of climates, like it is present in tropics, in subtropics, and temperate regions of the world. So essentially, you can see it in, maybe on the full perspective in different countries of the world. It can live from about the sea level height to up to 2,000 meters above sea level. So it can go to different latitudes and longitudes and altitudes as well. This is a target species to high saline water conditions because we have seen taro growing near the flooding coastal lines in India and Bangladesh. So that means it could also be used as potential reclamation and remediation to those soils in Pakistan as well, which are having the problems of water salinity and water loss. Many types of taro, many different cultivars and wild taros they are deployed, but we also have found triplight taros, which are the cultivars, which are the wild species or wild forms of taro. Since it is present globally, that means it's a very ancient, old species, it has global distribution. That means many different types, many different lineages are adapted to local environments in multiple areas across the globe. That means it has hundreds to thousands of different cultivars which are present across the globe. Some people prefer their tubular part. Also cook leaves and young stems and stolons. These are also eatable. Taro is, although it is considered a minor or neglected crop in Pakistan with very little research in Pakistan, but it is a staple, a main food for the diet in people of Oceania. As very much like potato in Europe, taro has that importance in Oceania. And this is also very much part of the main food supply in Japan, where it is considered as a very prestigious crop in Japan, which is cooked on certain special occasions. Like we have Eid celebrations, people used to serve particular varieties of certain occasions. The variety among taro and other root crops, it shows that taro has high energy content. And also it is rich in ash, fiber content, and it is a good source of calcium and phosphorus as well. In my PhD and now afterwards also, I'm considering the evolutionary history or trajectory of taro and its closely related species. This is very important because if we know the evolution of a particular species, we can also infer about its domestication history, which is very important in human history. Since we know that there are thousands and hundreds of thousands of species of plants, but we can only eat very few of them, maybe only hundreds, not even in thousands. So, but we can eat, these species are considered domesticated. The rest of the species are not domesticated, these are the wild species. So there is a specific evolutionary history which is associated with the process called domestication. That's why evolution is very important. This is an ancient root crop. We relied mostly on the molecular studies previously. The molecular studies which was being reported on taro, they only included few of those like chloroplast and nuclear DNAs. But we considered more into the whole chloroplast genome sequencing and doing comparative genomics and phylogeny. To begin with, I started sequencing chloroplast genomes of two different varieties which were found in New Zealand in figure A and B. One is called RR, the other is GP. One is edible, the other one is wild. So these were easily accessible, but these happen to belong to two different clades. So these were really important in founding these foundations of my study. We did whole-genome sequencing of these varieties, and then we did multiple sequence alignment and comparative genomics and found the mutational hotspot regions. So what we hypothesized was that in our results, we can see that the oligonucleotide repeats in the genome are a proxy for finding mutational hotspots. So although this study, this hypothesis is based primarily on taro, but this has held true in subsequent studies as well. So that's why this paper is a hugely cited paper, because this is a very important hypothesis. It has been tested in even in angiosperms and gymnosperms, and now people can pre-inform that these are the regions which they need to consider in doing the pharmacokinetic studies. So here we found the frequencies, histograms of indels and SNPs, and we see that where there are more indels and repeats, there are also more repeats, oligonucleotide repeats. So it's very easy to find oligonucleotide repeats in a single genome. So very quickly we can find that these potential regions could be mutational hotspots, and these are the other regions are having more selection pressure on those, so less mutational hotspots. So with this in mind, with this information in hand, we can decide about the molecular markers. So we have a slide this in this paper, Mutational Dynamics of Arid Chloroplast genome, which was the first paper in this series of work on taro and related species. So you can see that due to the importance of this hypothesis, when this paper also was selected for the GBE title cover. So it formed the generous title cover image. This was the second paper. Once we found the evolutionary hotspots, we designed appropriate molecular markers to study phylogeny in taro and closely related species using the hotspot regions. Here in this paper, we reported molecular markers and tested those molecular markers on a subset of samples for their utility usefulness in finding the phylogenetic studies. So then we use selected markers on a global, semi-global subset or set of samples of taro and closely related species. So this map shows that we have picked out samples from many different countries and regions in Oceania and Asia, and some in Europe as well. So when European study was formed by group, so we did the sampling, but they are taking markers. So essentially, our markers are being used on the global perspective for finding the phylogeny. What we inferred from the study in chloroplast genomes is that taro basically, the germplasm has three different distinct clades. We call clade 1, clade 2, and clade 3. These distinct clades have deep evolutionary history of separation from each other, which spans to millions of years, which I'm showing on the next slide. One of these, clade 1, that basically we call Indo-Pacific. Primarily we call it Indo-Pacific because the samples belong from Indian and Pacific region in this clade. This clade has diploids as well as diploid taros and wild as well as cultivated taros. So this is really important clade, which has the global outreach and presence, especially type 1, E1 in this clade that is found across from Australia to Africa. So this was really very recent in after the anthropogenic activity and human selection. So this lineage was transported to many different parts of the world in recent historical times. We also found clade 2, which we call Himalayan because that mostly belongs to temperate regions. The clade 2 samples we had happened to be triploids as well as cultivated. So no diploids and no wild taros in clade 2 were found at that time. And then clade 3 has the Southeast Asian and Australian origin. These are purely, totally wild taro samples and also related species. So there are no triploids and there are no cultivars in clade 3. This is really important finding because although morphologically taro can be similar in clade 1 and clade 3, but genetically this is really distinct and very far away. So taro is present in T1 and T3, and T3 also has many different species, so that's why we consider that taro has polyphyletic origin, and the species is not natural. This figure shows the distribution of different lineages at different grades, grade 1 and grade 2 and grade 3. PK represents Pakistan, which shows that Pakistan has grade type 2. The taros we have in Pakistan, mostly, they are, so far, all of the samples we have collected from Pakistan, they belong to grade 2, the triploid taros, which is from temperate Himalayan regions. But then India has mostly the type 1 and type 2. And there are also, Australia has mostly type 3 taros and type 1 taros. This is the divergence time estimates based on the fossil records. And we can see that type 1 was mostly spread across the globe in Holocene time period, which was the last recent 10,000 years ago after the fall of the last glacial maximum age. But then type 1 and type 2, they had deep splits, which were about 10 million years and 7.5 years ago from today. So we reported these findings in this paper. We showed that the evolutionary origins of taro in Southeast Asia. This paper has 7 authors and belonging to 7 different countries. So basically it's a study, very diverse study from a very diverse sample set and very diverse authors. So these are some follow-up publications, mutational dynamics of aroid genomes 2 in the same family Aroidae, which is basically the subsequel of our first paper, and then some other related papers in Araceae family using the chloroplast genomes as an example. So this is the ongoing research work on taro and other related aroids, which also includes the Colocasia and Alocasia samples. This is part of this was during my JSPS fellowship last year in Japan. This work is mostly unpublished. We have also added about 19 genomes from taro and those related species, and subsequently we have added another sample set of 25 samples. They are currently we are processing at alpha genomics for sequencing and pharmacogenetic analysis. These are samples from wild population of taro in C1 and C3 and Alocasia as well. So the phylogeny is largely consistent with the previously described phylogeny. This is phylogeny based on the full length chloroplast genomes. So partition this phylogeny in order to find that if there is any distortion in the tree topology. If we consider the subsections of the whole genome, like the 2A is the only coding sequence, CDS is the coding sequence of taro, and 2B shows the total intergenic IGS sequences. So mostly these are similar. Again, in the intergenic sequences, we did the transcribed intergenic and non-transcribed intergenic, but still the phylogeny is largely similar. So this is to conclude this work. Colocasia esculenta has a deep, complex evolutionary history and investigation history, and a lot more needs to be learned. The study so far sheds important light on the process of domestication in particular lineages. So domesticated taros were found in clades 2 and 1. That means we have different centers of domestication of taro. And this is in contrast, this is contradictory to already held hypothesis of domestication in Papua New Guinea, which was the paper cited in Science and Nature as well. But my studies show that my studies basically data contradicts that finding. Clade 1 taros contain diploids and triplites, while domesticated, they are global in distribution. We have wild taros in this group, which adds to its potential of adding important genetic information in the cultivars. Clade 2 taros, which are mostly triplites and cultivars, have so far temperate distribution. They are found at high altitudes, and these are triplites. And potentially, we have important clues of finding their wild relatives. If we confirm that, this will be another good breakthrough, even that we can basically improve the genetics of clade 2 taros. And clade 3 are mostly diploids and wild. They are only cultivated. They are only wild. There is no cultivated domesticated taros and no triploid. They also contain other species. That means C. esculenta is not a natural species that has polyphyletic origin. So with this, I conclude my talk. Thank you very much again for providing me this opportunity. I am very much open for any questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ebrar Ahmed. Hope you are enjoying in Baku. So, I will ask one thing about your alpha genomics. You have many opportunities for the students. So many of the students, they are attending this conference. So if you have any opportunity for our student to join your alpha genomics.
Yeah, basically I was invited here in Baku because people here, they were interested to learn more about alpha genomics and not about my science. So my first conference had to talk about alpha genomics as a whole. I didn't talk about any science. That's the requirement here. Coming back to your question, for the students at Azara University and for other students, we have to do offer free internships of 4 weeks. We have huge interest from people in this program, which is, since this is free, we get large number of applications and then we have to do a screening process. But we select only a few students at one time so that they actually learn something. So we are not going to distribute certificates. We are interested in actually delivering our basically delivering the techniques to the students so that they can self-sufficient in their research, and that's why this program is in high demand. Students and professors are most welcome, but that's right. But I can offer, and apart from that, if you have any questions, if the students have any questions, they are most welcome to discuss to the staff and team. We have a culture of sharing of knowledge. We do not restrict knowledge to ourselves. Even our team, our staff and team who have developed their own protocols, they are free to distribute those protocols to the students without any charges. So this is basically sharing knowledge so that students can benefit from this knowledge. Apart from that, if you have any particular
Okay, Dr. Rob, thank you very much for your talk. So with this, we are going for a short break, lunch break. So we will meet after 30 minutes. So the next speakers, they must be ready for their talk, with their talks. So hopefully we will join after 20 to 30 minutes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Ibra, Dr. Ishtaq Ali, all those participants who are online with us. So we will rejoin after 20 minutes. Please be in touch. No need to switch off, but we will be back soon. Thank you very much.